Good afternoon. The League of Ireland is back, which means hope is back, confidence is danger is high, and most of us are going to say a lot of wrong things. In this season preview, I'm joined by Cornell and Karl Stafford to do what football fans do best: make bold predictions, call out pressure clubs, high players who have to deliver, and pretend we have learned something from last season. No PR, no safe takes, no pretending football is predictable. So stick around because by May, at least one of us will want this episode deleted. I want it already because I'm doing this from my mobile phone, and I don't think on the technological side of the house I'm going to do it very well. So please forgive me in advance. If you have honest League of Ireland talk, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, and drop your own predictions in the comments before reality embarrasses all. So, without much more of an introduction, let's jump into it. We will go team by team. I will start with you, Cornell, and we will pick bows. So bows, they always feel like they are one project season away based on last year and squad turnover. Is this finally a step forward, 2026, or another rebuild in disguise?
I think this is. I'll be very interested to see how they operate without James Clark, who's made the big, massive move to Derry City, which really shocked me, of course, because we all expected James Clark to actually stay with Bowes or to move to England to the EFL, because the last time we checked, we saw that James Clark was linked with a move to Grimsby Town in League Two, but James Clark decided to go to Derry City, and he's moved there, and he's going to be linking up with Michael Duffy. But Bowes, I mean, I'll be very interested to see how they do. I mean, obviously Douglas Taylor, look, he's scoring goals for fun. Are we going to see the very best of them as we expect? Harry Vaughan has moved to Bowes as well on loan from Hull City to replace James Clark. I think all of this will be interesting. I mean, are we going to see Devoy and Del Rooney really do what they were doing last season? So I'll be very interested. I mean, they've signed a few youngsters as well who's moved to the club as well on a professional contract as well, and but I'll be very intrigued to see what Alan Reynolds does and how they really approach it, because they did miss out on Europe last season, which was a very devastating blow. But I think if Bowes can really start playing the football and take all what they did last season of where they finished, I think they'll have a very good season this season.
Uh, Carl, with changes on and off the pitch, do Bows look more stable than last season, or they're still vulnerable and inconsistent?
I suppose they've had an interesting off season. They've lost a lot of kind of experienced leaders. So like James Talbot, who'd been there for nearly a decade. Keith Buckley was club captains there for nearly a decade. Rob Cornwall been there on and off over the last couple of years. As Cornell was saying, James Clark has gone to Derry, which has made Bowes weaker and strengthened a rival. And then also John Mountney has gone as well, who's a very experienced League of Ireland player. But they've brought in a lot of quality, like Patrick Hickey coming over from Galway. He just adds a completely different dimension to the Bowes team. Big centre forward, attacking midfielder who just makes life awkward for defenders. Ryan Burke has come in from Waterford. He'll shore up their defence a little bit, and Diallo from Derry is a really, really good midfield player. I think Bowes were pretty solid in the middle to begin with last year. So them bringing him in is going to bring a whole new lease of life to their midfield. Like they've some serious quality in there with Tierney and the other lads as well. So Harry Vaughan on loan from Hull is an interesting one as well. He's played 60 games for Hull, Bristol and Oldham over the last couple of years in the EFL. So he brings in quite a lot of experience for quite a young player, and be interested to see what sort of qualities he actually has in the league. I think the Bows starting 11 is probably stronger, but maybe their squad is a little bit weaker than it was They'll probably still need a couple of players at the back. They've kind of struggled for centre halves over the last few years. A lot of young, good players at centre half, but need a bit more experience maybe to get themselves up the table a little bit more. So they're an interesting one for sure. Better quality in, but experience and leadership is probably where they're going to be lacking now. So they need players to step up.
Stuff just for the people who are watching us, we are making our calls, but we want you guys to make yours too. So let us know, who do you think is going to win the league, who will underperform, and which of our predictions here will age the worst. We are happy to revisit your comments throughout the episode and later during the season. Let's move to Derry City, Cornell. After last season's near miss and more evolution in the squad, is this Derry's strongest title push for this year, or is expectation now an enemy when it comes to their aspirations?
I think this is Derry City's title push now. They've gone very, very strong over the winter transfer window. The biggest one they've brought, I mean, was Dara Markey from Drogda. We all expect Dara Markey to stay at Drogda, but you know, Derek Lynch and Derry made it very, very obviously personal that they wanted to bring him in because of the quality he possesses. Oberlenka has come into the team. What a great addition that is. Now you're seeing James McLean, the return of James McLean, who played for the club a long time ago. You know, really brings so much positivity to the club. What I do believe is, I mean, obviously they've brought Slevin from Galway United. I mean, that's a brilliant addition there already. Oberlenka from Waterford, former Arsenal graduate, brilliant move there as well that they've done as well. Look, I think when you look at it from a certain point of view, Derry City, I think, will look at this and think last season they were very, very good last season. Michael Duffy was killing it last season. He was making to be the best player, which he still is at this moment, and still is the best player in the League of Ireland until it's time for him to retire. But I think at the present moment, I think we're going to be looking at a new front two this season, this new season, especially with James Clark in the fold now. James Clark, I mean, a player that I was very, very proud that didn't go to Grimsby Town because I'd be puking in a bucket if he did. But at the end of the day, I was very, very shocked that he basically made the move to Derry City because he has been Bowes' best player. Derry obviously was criticised last season for bringing in experienced players, like from Liam Boyce to Gavin White and everyone and other players too. But what they did do was try to finish strong. They got themselves in the title race last season, but they came short to Shamrock Rovers, and obviously made Shamrock Rovers go on and win it for a fifth consecutive time. But when you look at their team now, and you look at the players that they've brought in now, I just think that basically Derry City are just looking so strong now. And I look at the squad depth that Lynch has put into the team, and he's added now. I feel like Derry City are going to be favourites for the title, and I think people have to not underestimate them this season because I think Lynch is really wants to get it right. He wants to make sure that Derry City are going to be underdogs in this division. I feel like Derry City are going to be favourites for the title, and I think they could go on and win it. And I think if he can really get the new players gelling, it'll be very foolish if he couldn't, because then questions will be asked of him as a manager. But I just think with the likes of McLean, Oberlenka, and of course other players that they've added as well, I just think they will just be too strong. And I think Shamrock Rovers and other teams in the League of Ireland are going to be put on notice.
Karl, do Derry look like they have learned from last year's pressure moments, or are the same doubts still there?
I think the signing of James McLean would relieve a lot of that, like the experience he brings, the leadership he brings, the passion he brings, the bite. I think it just gives a massive lift to everyone at the club, the squad, the manager, and the city of Derry. Like the fanfare around him over the first couple of weeks of the season is going to be something serious. I heard a couple of people say that they hope he gets a good reception at all the League of Ireland grounds. I think he will, but I think it goes back to the normal service afterwards, and you have to abuse him. but he does revel in that. He's had a career that in England, like every away section and every home ground when he's playing away from home are down his throat. So that won't come as too much of a shock for him. They've had a bit of a turnover in players as well. They brought in a lot of, probably similar to Bowes, they've lost a bit of kind of older, experienced players. Mark Connolly, who's been a rock at the back for them the last few years, but really showing his age. Just he's not moving like you'd want the centre half to move. Shane Ferguson was there last year as well. Similar sort of situation. Northern Ireland international, very experienced player, but probably isn't as mobile as he used to be. And then also Robbie Benson in the middle. So the likes of Markey, Clark, Slevin, younger players who will add to the squad, and they have a quality squad as it is. So I think they're going to be a lot closer this year. Like James McLean is arguably the best player in the league now, even at 36. The quality he'll bring, the goals he'll bring, the assists he'll bring, and to think of having a front three, Derry this year, of James McLean, Gavin White, Michael Duffy with James Clark in the mix there as well. Like they're going to be serious going forward, and if they can get it right at the back, they're going to be very, very close to Rovers this year.
Cool. So the next in the list is Drogheda United. So Cornell, given last season's fight and struggle on the changes, since is survival the realistic aim again, or can Drogheda finally look up the table?
I think Drogheda can look high up the table now. I think Drogheda obviously was very unlucky last season to miss out on European football. To be kicked out of it last season was a devastating disaster for them, and they really tried to work very hard. Obviously, with the youngsters coming out from the youth academy, making a huge difference as well. Connor Keeley signing a new contract was very, very crucial for them, because he's been their best defense centre back this from last season, and I think there's more to come from Keeley as well. Obviously, with key players with Keeley and Connor Kane in that back line as well, I think will be very, very crucial. They've added a few new faces to the team as well, so I think Drogheda will be able to find their feet again. It'd be interesting to see how they deal without Douglas Taylor. Look, I think Drogheda will be all right, and I think the additions that they've signed as well, it has also been interesting as well for them as well. So I'll be very interested to see how they do. But I think they'll be all right this season, and I think they'll finish as high as they can and try and get into the European places for the next season after.
Just before I pass the ball to Carl, I just want to tell people this is our new schedule for 2026. We will keep Mondays around lunchtime to review the games from the previous weekend and preview the upcoming ones. Carl, do you see enough progression in the Drogheda squad to suggest growth, or is it another year of grinding it out?
They're grinders. They will grind results every week. Like they've arguably the best defense in the league, probably outside the Rovers. They're probably the best defense in the league. Like the three lads that play centre half for them are serious players, and you wouldn't want to come up in a dark alleyway against any three of them. But they've added a bit of quality this year as well. Mark Doyle returning from the US is a serious player. Like he's a lucky player as well, but he scores some serious quality goals and he works hard. Brandon Kavanagh going there from Pats as well. Again, just adds that little bit more quality to a really dogged, hard-working team. So I think they probably add a few more goals now to their play this year with those two lads going in. And if they work as hard and they're as defensively solid as they were last year, like they could only go up the table again. Like they finished dead mid-table this year, last year even, sorry. 6 out of 10 teams with a 0 goal difference, 38 goals scored, 38 goals conceded. So if they can tip those goals up a little bit and then keep the goals down a little bit more, like they'll probably add another 8, 9, 10 points to the table, and that's probably enough to get them into Europe. So they're going to be a serious outfit again this year. Like Kevin Doherty's teams always work really, really hard. So it looks like they'll be have that little bit more quality now this season.
Right. Let's move to Dundalk. Dundalk is back in the Premier Division after a turbulent period and a major change. Is Dundalk kind of rebuilding towards relevance, or they're still searching for their identity?
It's very difficult to say with Dundalk, because Dundalk last season was absolutely sensational last season in the first division. They went on an unbeaten streak. They went unbeaten, and they couldn't be stopped last season until another team came along and ended their undefeated streak. Look, I think they've gone through a lot of things. They went down the previous the season before, which was very devastating for them. Dundalk obviously, worked very, very hard in the first division to really get back up on track and to really find a way to get promoted again. And I think they've bought some very good, decent players. I think it'd be very interesting to see how they stay up. I think if they can add more quality to their team, I think they'll stay up and avoid the playoffs and the relegation in the League of Ireland.
Carl, does this Dundalk setup feel like the start of something new, or just damage control after recent seasons?
It's always hard to know Dundalk. It's just been constant damage control for the last, not quite a decade, but for the last 5 years certainly. They've actually added a decent bit of quality to their team now this year. Conor Kearns coming in from Shells is a massive signing. Obviously a league-winning keeper from 2024. Keith Buckley and Rob Cornwall coming in from Bows, two really experienced players, which will add a lot to quite a young Dundalk squad. And then Danny Mullen coming in from Derry, who's got quite a few goals in the League of Ireland in his first 18 months in. So they look a bit stronger, but there's a lot of question marks just around the club in general. Like, fairly turbulent off season again, where another ownership has come and gone. Obviously the supporters trust has been set up in the last kind of couple of years and months to kind of be the backdrop of the club and to make sure that they're on the straight and narrow and doing things right. You really don't know. Like, we could be halfway through the season and another club could disappear in the League of Ireland. I really wish it doesn't happen, but there's a lot of question marks just over how the club is run and everything that's happening off the field. But on the field, they're looking stronger than they were last year. Quality signings. They haven't lost too many players. Centre forward Dean Ebb has gone up north. But Danny Mullen is a fairly good replacement for him. So on the field, looking good. Off the field, as always, Dundalk are looking a bit shaky. So let's see how they get on over the first couple of months of 2026.
Right. So let's move to Galway United. Cornell, based on last year and how the squad has evolved, are Galway capable of consolidating comfortably at let's say at summertime, or is second season syndrome a real risk for the team of the West of Ireland?
It's very, very hard for me to say about Galway United, because I really like Galway United and I think they are a very, very good team. They haven't really replaced. They haven't got a proven goal scoring striker. Really, from since last season, we all expected that Shaw was gonna be that striker to score them the goals. Dyer, obviously, they haven't replaced him since he's gone overseas, and it's going to be very, very difficult for me to see where Galway United is at the present moment, because Galway United do have some good, decent players, but some of their best players have now gone on to other clubs in the League of Ireland and progressed. But I'll be very interested to see how they strengthen the team and how they go about things. But if they don't really strengthen their team and they don't really look the part, then I do think they will be in a fight for relegation to stay up in the League of Ireland Premier Division. But it is very, very difficult for me to really say about Galway, because I feel like Galway are a very good side, but until they replace, Dyer in their team and whatever's going on, I don't know. It's very, very difficult. I think they will stay up. I think they have the chance to stay up. But if things don't go the way as it's expected, I think they could struggle. So it'll be very interesting to see how Galway United operates.
Carl, do Galway look better equipped now for Premier Division life, or have the other teams already figured them out?
Yeah, I think Galway are going to struggle this year. They've had huge turnover. 10 players out, 7 players in. They need a few more bodies. But the players out is probably the biggest concerning thing. Patrick Hickey going to Bows is a massive loss. Added a lot to their system in terms of sending balls forward, and he just won everything in the air. Brendan Clark, a really experienced goalkeeper, was kind of in and out of the team last season, but just adds a wealth of experience to the squad. Ursa going to Sligo is a loss for them, and then a win for Sligo. Rob Steven going to Derry, and then they've lost experienced players like Regan Donlan, Gary Buckley, Bobby Burns. So I think they're going to really struggle this year. They really need to get a few bodies in over the next couple of weeks before the season starts. But it's always difficult when you're bringing bodies in last minute and you're trying to implement I wouldn't imagine their system's going to be too different from last year, but getting these players up to scratch and to show them what way Galway are going to play. But I think it's going to be a tough year for the tribesmen.
Right, let's move now to the current title owners, Shamrock Rovers. Cornell, after last season's high standards and squad refresh, is anything short of the title a favor for the Rovers in 2026?
I think when I look at Shamrock Rovers' team, they've added 2 players. They've added Enda Stevens to replace Josh Houlihan, who's come to us Lincoln City, which I'm still over the moon about him coming to us, even though he's still out injured with a muscle injury, and looking forward to what he's going to bring for us Lincoln City Football Club. Jake Mulaney was the biggest shocks from leaving St. Pat's to go to Shamrock Rovers. Obviously, I do believe that they need to strengthen their defense a bit more, even though, yes, Shamrock Rovers will rely on Lee Grace and Lopez to keep the clean sheets. Obviously, we ain't seen a lot of Adam Matthews due to injury, which is not his fault. Ed McGinty, very good goalkeeper. I think he's one of the best goalkeepers in the division at the present moment. They still need to replace Josh Houlihan with a left back. I do think they need some more recruits at the back, because if you look at their back line, obviously we all know about Lopez, we all know about Lee Grace, we all know about how important they are, because without those two in that back line, Shamrock Rovers his back line is not great. Midfield, we all know about Dylan Watts. We know how good Dylan Watts is. We know how good Matt Healy is. Fantastic ballers in there. And I think they need, obviously Aaron McAneff has now gone to the Northern Irish League now. And that's a big blow, because when he's in that midfield, he's like an anchor of that team. And realistically, I think they need to bring in some new recruits, obviously. Michael Noonan's getting a lot of interest from the Bundesliga, from Hoffenheim, Everton, and Chelsea and Manchester United. So it's going to be interesting how they're going to hold on to him. Can they bring in another striker to replace him if Noonan does leave? These are the questions that you ask, and then obviously I think it would leave them with Green. Obviously, Graham Burke is going to be key for them. We all know what Graham Burke can do. Obviously, I'm looking forward to seeing Mulaney and Grant. I think him and Danny Grant are going to be something different. Where does Jack Byrne fit in it? Because Jack Byrne did very well in pre-season. Does he have a part to play in their along on the wing? Does he play a part? These things will question it. Can Shamrock Rovers retain the League of Ireland title? Because Derry City, as I've been saying, are looking very, very scary and very, very dangerous. And I think they're going to be favourites to take down Shamrock Rovers and send a statement that they are going to be the ones to look out for. Shamrock Rovers, look, I do believe they can go on and retain their title. I think they can bring the right recruits and bring the right players in. And also with some of the youngsters obviously heading the other way as well too. but I'll be very interested to see how Shamrock Rovers do. I think they'll be all right this season. I think they've got the quality to show what they're about, but it's replacing them with the right players, not spending it like crazily. And Bradley did mention that they're not going to spend the money just like that. They're going to bring in players who fit the bill. It's down to him to bring in the right players on a free or on loan. So I'll be very interested, but I think they can retain the title, and I think they'll have a fantastic season. But I think they have to watch out for Derry.
Right. When it comes to Shamrock Rovers, Carl, do you see hunger and evolution, or could familiarity and fatigue finally catch up with the Tavat team?
They buys the quality throughout the squad, which is the big thing. And obviously, Enda Stevens coming back to them is really experienced players, played hundreds and hundreds of games in the championship, the Premier League, over the course of his career in England. So he's going to bring a lot of quality to them, a lot of experience. I'd imagine he's going to probably be playing more as a centre back than a wing back, just with given his age and stuff like that. But the quality that he has is unmatched. Mulroney is an interesting signing for them. Obviously, very disappointed personally to see him leave Pats, because he does have a lot of quality. But where does he fit into their system? Like, I don't think he's quite a wing back. I don't think he fits in that sort of way for them. So does he play up front? Obviously, Cornell is saying there that it's looking like Michael Noonan will move at some point. I think he's still under 18, so it'll only be in Europe that he will move until he turns 18 later on this year. So I think they're probably just looking as strong as they did last year. I think Derry are going to be the ones that really push them. But I wouldn't be if I was a Shamrock Rovers fan, I wouldn't be too worried about where they're at and the signings that they've had. They probably have the ability to go out and probably pick one or two players from abroad that they can take a risk on. They don't really need someone to come in and provide a huge amount if they do keep Michael Noonan. So I think they'll be thereabouts. I think it'll be them and Derry pushing at the end of the year. But it'd be nice to see a change in the league title.
Yep. Let's stay with the Dublin teams and move now to Shells. Coming off last season, Cornell, and with tweaks rather than an overhaul, are Shells genuine title contenders, or they are just very good spoilers?
I think Shelburne are going to be ones to watch this season. I think Rodrigo Profritas, I think, is an absolute wicked addition being made to Shells. Lundgren, I think, is going to be interesting as well. James Norris, obviously signing with Shells as well, and Spiel as well. What a keeper he was last season! Absolutely brilliant. I do believe that Shells, I think, will be up there once again. I think they look very, very dangerous going forward, and I think they've showed the quality and the ability for them to really go further this year and make something special. So I think they'll finish as high as they can, and I think they'll try and get into a European finish this season, and I think Shells will be up there this season. So yeah, I think they'll do well this year.
Carl, is this Shell squad built to sustain a full title push, or will depth and pressure decide their ceiling?
Yeah, this is probably the litmus test now for Shells. This season, obviously, Duffer left them halfway through last year, and new manager came in who obviously been there previously. So it'll be a big test to see if he can bring their form from last year into this year. Obviously, they did brilliantly well to qualify for the Conference League, and then they did a really good kind of end into the season as well. They were very tough, and they were difficult to beat. They've had a bit of turnover. I think Mark Coyle will be a big loss for them. Obviously, he was the club captain and a big leader for them over the last couple of years, and was really instrumental in them winning the title. And then the likes of John O'Sullivan and Conor Kearns leaving as well, two really experienced players for them. So they've signed, they've gone forward with a lot of players, which is always, it's hard to know in the league. It's hard to know if someone's going to come in and adjust. Traditionally, it's 99% of the players in the League of Ireland are Irish and they're domestic based. So they've gone out and they've signed a lad from Portugal, and they've signed a lad from up north, and they broke the record fee in the League of Ireland to bring in Ordom Casey from Cliftonville. So he needs to work for them. Like, there's a lot of pressure on him. Over 100 grand was spent on him, which is, in football terms, is a very small figure, but in the League of Ireland terms, it's a big chunk of change. And they've obviously they're able to spend that money because of how well they've done in Europe last year. So they could go either way. Like, they could be mid-table, or they could be pushing Rovers this year. I'm sure they're disappointed that they didn't finish a little bit closer to Rovers, given that they were the champions last year. But I don't know. I think they could go either way this year, Shells. I wouldn't be convinced either way. As long as Pats finish ahead of them, I'll be happy.
Yeah, that I knew. Let's move now to the west of Ireland. Sligo Rovers, Cornell, after a mixed campaign and more movement behind the scenes. Are Sligo heading finally for stability, or is another shaky and transitional year?
I think Sligo are looking really, really good this year. I think Sligo, look like a team that will really, really shock people again. I think they were the true underdogs of last season. Owen Eldon, I think keeping hold of him is very, very important. And also, it's also important for Sligo to maintain that winning mentality and to really showcase what they can do. I think Akiki, I think, is also one of the best midfielders in the division this season. Definitely Eldon, as I said, I think will be very, very key and very, very important. Obviously, Insu are going to leaving Galway to go to Sligo. I think that's a very, very good, fantastic addition been made to them, and I think he'll really bring a lot of positivity to their front line, to their back line, and going forward. So I think they'll have a very good season, and you never know. I think they could even challenge for Europe. So you never say never on them.
Carl, do you trust Sligo's model to make them a competitive squad, or there are plenty of warning signs that need to be addressed before we can rely on their performance?
Yeah, I think they've replaced the players that have gone out, but I don't see any. I suppose I don't think there's a major improvement in their squad. Ursa coming in from the right back from Galway. He's a good player. I would have liked to see him go to Pats now, to be honest with you. So I think he's probably their best off season signing. I think Alex Nolan will add a little bit more to them. He was quite good at Cork last year, and he had a couple of decent appearances for Pats when he was there, but didn't really get too much of a chance consistently in the team. Mickelson as well, coming in from Bowes. He's a decent signing for them as well, but I feel like they're going to be kind of thereabouts where they were last year. I don't think they've made any major improvements to the squad, or they haven't really lost a huge amount either. So I think they'll be all right. They'll be mid-table, but I don't think there'll be a huge amount of fanfare around Sligo this year.
Right, and with that we move to Pats, Cornell. With last season's highs and frustrations, and plus the squad changes, are some Pats closer to consistency, or they're still flattering to deceive?
St. Pat's for me are an amazing team, and St. Pat's, especially when you've got players like Joe Redmond, who is one of the best centre backs in the League of Ireland Premier Division, and obviously a Yang who is 10 times better than Andre Onana, to be honest, which he is. No offense, because if you put him in a Manchester United team, he'll just explode. But St. Pat's, look, they are a good team. We all know how fantastic they are. We all know how good Stephen Kenny is. He still holds the most record of winning the most League of Ireland titles. No disrespect towards Stephen Bradley, right? They're a good side. They're a good team. They've sold some of their best players who's moved on now. And you look at St. Pat's team now, and you think, where does St. Pat's go from here? They've bought Dara Nugent in a swap deal with Jake Mulaney, who's now gone on to Shamrock Rovers. They've brought in Max Matter to come and replace Mason Melia, who's now gone to Tottenham. obviously, which I wish him all the best in at Tottenham. And then they've brought in Boyce, one of the best right backs in the League of Ireland Premier Division, who is known as the Irish Cafu. But the interesting thing is, can they add quality to their team? They missed out on Europe last season. That wasn't the best. That wasn't the best move for them. And I feel that if they want to be in and around the European run, if they want to finish as high as they can, they have to bring in some sort of quality into their team. I mean, there's no point relying on Zach Zebedee. We all know how good he is. I mean, look, Zebedee has got pace to run. Simon Power out for months. Obviously, it's not great. It's not. And you look at that front line, and you think, where do the goals come from? I mean, obviously, look, Adrian McKinnon was obviously on the verge of being top scorer last season before his injury. Wasn't his fault that he was injured and he wasn't same again. Mason Melia was killing it and almost became top scorer. So you look at their team and I think, well, where do I see the attack coming from? Yeah, we see it from Zebedee's point of view, but really, who's going to be on the goals for them? So I'll be very interested to see. But if they can add some quality to their team, I think they'll be all right. But I do worry about St. Pat's as a team and where does Stephen Kenny go from here?
Let's move to Karl. For those who don't know, Karl is a massive Pats fan, so he might be a bit biased, but that's okay. I mean, we all do that. So is this year? Is this a year that Pats can finally turn potential into sustained results, or are you guys still stuck between levels?
I think it has to be. I think it has to work this year. Like I think we have to be a lot closer to the title. With the outlay that's gone into the team, the manager, the club in general, like Pats have to be much closer to the title this year because there's not really another option. Obviously Mason Melia is the biggest loss I think coming in from last year, but we've known for a year that he's gone to Spurs, and then probably there was months before that where everyone knew that he was going to get a move, and it was going to be done ahead of time because there was so many suitors for him, and he could sign a contract a year ahead and then move when he turned 18. I think the lads that have come in, Matt, Nugent, and Boyce, I think they're all good players, and I think Boyce really improves our back line. I think Matt is probably as good as a replacement you're going to get for Mason Melia, and I think Nugent will add a bit to the midfield. I don't really know how Pats are going to set up. I watched them on Saturday night against Longford Town and that Senior Cup, our first competitive game of the year. It was a mix of first team players and a mix of youth. So you can only obviously take so much away from it. But they set up with a back three, with wing backs, three in the middle, and then two up front. Max Bada and Aidan Keena would have played 6 months together at Sligo. I think Keena scored 18 goals in those games. Max Bada got probably half a dozen in those games as well. So they have played with each other previously. So we really need them to combine this season if we are going to go with two up front and to be a creative threat. Keena broke his foot early on last season. So I think if he's fully fit going into this year and he hits the ground running, he's going to be like a new signing. Romal Palmer, obviously, been very injury prone throughout his career, and last year missed a good chunk of the year. I think he only appeared in maybe 6 or 7 games for Pats last year. So he'd be like a new signing if he's fully fit. And hopefully he can stay in the team because he adds a huge amount to the midfield. Arguably the best player in the league on his day. The likes of him, James McLean, Chris Forrester, Jack Byrne, Graham Burke, like these are all the kind of the best players in the league. So we need him on the pitch every week. But we've had 8 players out now, 3 players in. The squad is probably lacking a little bit of depth. I think the quality is there, but it's really going to be how we set up because, as Burnell said there a few minutes ago, Simon Power's out for a couple of months with a knee injury. Jake has gone to Rovers, so the only kind of out-and-out winger we have in the squad that's fit now is Zach Ebezebi. Obviously, Cian Levy has played in the wing a good bit, especially last season under Kenny, but he's probably more of a 10. Are we going to play a 4-4-2 with them two as our wingers? I don't know. Like it's going to be really interesting to see how we set up in the first couple of weeks of the season. Obviously, a massive test in the first day of the year out in the Aviva against Bowes. So you really kind of have to hit the ground running this year. Like, and I think the team's under pressure if we don't. Like we need to be thereabouts with the quality that's there, with the outlay that's there. Europe isn't there as a. I hate people always say, "Oh, Europe is a distraction," but it's such a windfall of revenue. So to not have that this year really kind of hits the budget as well, and that's probably why you've seen so many players go out and not as many in. But yeah, no, fingers crossed. I think the quality is there. It's just about putting it together week to week. But what will benefit the team in the league this year is that we're going to have one game a week. There's not going to be a big break in the middle of the season where you're not going to play a league game for nearly 2 months. So not being in Europe is good in that aspect of it, but obviously the windfall of money is another big thing. So I'm optimistic. I think Mata and Keane, if they combine up front, we're going to be a lot better than we were last year. But look, let's see. The first couple of weeks are going to show a lot for Pats, I think, this year.
Right, let's finish with Waterford. Cornell, after last season's momentum and off-season decisions, do Waterford look ready to kick on, or they are still vulnerable?
I think Waterford look decently good. I mean, adding Jordan Farias to the team. I think Evan McCaughlin, I think, is a big A+ there. I think one of the best players, one of the best ones in the division to play for Cork City and now to play for Waterford as well. I know they've had a few players on trial as well. I think Voleas as well, I think, will be one that I think will be very interesting. I think if Waterford can really bring their fantastic side out, I think they'll be a very, very good side. And I think as long as they can, help Almond, obviously experienced player, we all know that. Longer, and we all know about him, obviously how he can get on the goals along with Almond. I mean, who obviously was leveled with the top score with the Golden Boot last season, and obviously probably would have wished that he scored a few more. But look, I think Waterford will be in a very good position this season, and I think they'll really go on and really finish up the table as high as they can.
Can Waterford surprise the other teams, or will the league adjust and expose them?
I think they've had big turnover. Obviously, new managers come in, and it's always hard to know when they've signed 10 new players and they've had 8 or 9 out as well. So it's always difficult to tell. What I would say is they're going to be difficult to play against, like as they were last year. Tommy Lonergan, Podrick Hammond, and now Conor Carty coming in from Pats. They're 3 big, strong centre forwards that are just going to absolutely battle you. So centre forwards are not going to enjoy playing against the 3 of them, and they'll probably have at least 2 of them on the pitch throughout the year. Evan McLaughlin, as Cornell was saying, there is a quality sign and adds a bit in the midfield. They've signed Conan Noonan now on a permanence from Rovers. He adds a lot to their midfield. But the turnover is always hard to know if they're going to really adjust straight away. Could take a couple of weeks into the season before you really know how they're going to be shaping up and probably even the system that they end up playing. But they have a good manager, John Daly. He was at Pats. He won the Cup of Pats, and he obviously he was at Dundalk under a very turbulent time. So it was very difficult for him there. And then last season he was the assistant manager at Galway for the second half of the year. So he's a lot of League of Ireland experience. So his teams are going to be set up hard to beat. But it's probably at the back where they're going to struggle. I think they've had a bit of turnover. They've lost Ryan Burke to Bowes. Andy Boyle is retired. And then they've lost a couple of other lads. So I don't think they'll probably replace the players at the back. John Matten's coming in from Sligo. Very combative centre half, but he's going to be suspended for 4 or 5 games of the year because he likes a red card. So look, it's going to be interesting to see where Waterford are at. They're probably going to be thereabouts, I think, near the bottom of the table, just due to the turnover at the club. But if they hit the ground running, maybe they can sneak up the table a little bit.
Right. Let's finish with the President's Cup predictions. Cornell, what's your expectation for that opening game?
The men's President's Cup. Oh my days! Derry versus Shamrock Rovers. This is going to be very, very interesting to see what type of team and what type of lineup Stephen Bradley really puts out, and the same with T and Lynch as well. as much as I would like to favour Shamrock Rovers to go on and win the men's President's Cup, it's just something about Derry City. I think that just looks so optimistic already about them, and I think they look the team that really wants to go on and really achieve something special. And I think they could go on and shock Shamrock Rovers and beat Shamrock Rovers for the men's President's Trophy. So I think for me, especially with the additions of James McLean and Oberlenka and Markey and Slevin as well, I just think they look the team that I don't think no one wants to be playing right now, and especially with James Clark in there, makes it even more sweeter for them as well too. And I think with that front two with Duffy and Clark, I think their attack just looks so scary than compared to Shamrock Rovers. So I think Derry City win for me.
Karl, what's your take on the President's Cup?
Yeah, it's an opportunity for Derry to take a pound of flesh off Rovers, isn't it? To set a marker down for the year. Like obviously James McLean, he's going to be the one that everyone's going to be talking about, just with the quality that he has and 100+ caps for Ireland. He's halfway through a season, so he's going to be fully fit. He's going to be raring to go, and he'll really be the catalyst for them this year. Like he's going to have the players really roiled up. And he's going to be saying to them, this is where we laid America now, and we want to be fighting for the title this year. So we need to go out and beat Rovers in their home stadium. So look, I think I'd give the edge to Derry. Rovers have had a very short off season. They had to play right up until December just due to their involvement in the Conference League, which that's the price of success. You're going to play a lot more games when you qualify for these competitions and your season is extended out. But they've done that for 2 years in a row now, so I'd imagine there's fatigue within the squad. So I'd give the edge to Derry. They've had a longer off season. They've signed well. Their starting 11 is going to be a lot better than last year, and then James McLean is just going to be a serious X factor for them. So I'd give the edge to Derry, but it's going to be an interesting title race between them two, and then hopefully Pats are involved in it as well. But we'll wait and see about that.
Right. Thanks very much, guys. Absolutely delighted to count on your insights. We'll be here on a weekly basis. So for those who are watching, this was our League of Ireland season preview. Confident, opinionated, and with lots of passion. Now it's your turn. Let us know in the comments. We'll pick it next Monday. Who wins the week? Who collapses under pressure? And which of our takes will age the worst? Like the video, subscribe for more unfiltered League of Ireland football talk, and share it with some other League of Ireland football fun. I'll see you next Monday, and have a good week, guys. Take care.
Thank you very much.
See you later. Good to see you guys.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.